I'm Zach,
I'm Drew.
and this
is Oak Tree Dreams.
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Oak Tree Dreams. I'm Drew. Before today's episode, I'd like to say thanks for all the support. We really appreciate it. Keep it coming. Don't forget to subscribe and like and hit that little bell icon so you don't miss any of our great videos that are going to be coming out here. Bow hunting's 2 weeks away. We can't wait. We're going to be doing more of these tips, these early bow hunting tips. I'll do probably one more for early season, and then we'll go to pre-rut and then rut from our experiences and what tactics work for us. If you guys want to know anything, don't forget to if you guys want to know anything or have questions that you would like answered about early season bow or anything like that, comment down below. We will gladly answer them as quick as possible. If we think we should go in more in depth, we'll comment and let you know we're going to put it in our next episode. Today's episode, we are going to be talking about early season bow hunting tactics and a couple other things. To start off with, opening day in Wisconsin is September 12th. It is coming up. Everyone has those opening day jitters, want to get out there right away, hunt those bucks we've had on trail cam all summer. Let me put it this way. You might as well sleep in, because those morning hunts don't really work. Yes, morning hunts are successful sometimes, but if I were you, I would sleep in, because most bucks, not all the time, are moving between like 8 and 9 o'clock, coming from their feeding grounds where they've been feeding all night, or coming back to their bedding area, pretty much. I myself, opening day, September 12th. We slept in. About 9 o'clock we got on the stand, and about 9:20 I shot a buck we call Curly. I'll show him here in a second. And we slept in, and it worked out. But the biggest thing is, your best times to kill a buck in early bow season is your evening hunts. I would focus most of your time on those evening hunts and just sleep in the morning, even though you are super excited, because I'm not gonna lie, I want to get out, but I have to work. So either way, I'm not going to be out in that morning. If you go in the morning and you're successful, it can happen. Like I said, it can happen, but saving time, and from my experience and my brother's, it just pays to sleep in opening morning, and go out for that evening hunt. Deer are more active towards the evening. Most bucks move, if it's during daylight, is the last 2 hours of the day. So it's a very small window. I'd say get out there early, probably 2 o'clock, because you never know what's going to come through from 2 o'clock on, really. I mean, they do start moving early sometimes. If you do go in the morning, best bet is going to be your transition spots, or your between bedding and food source. Some funnel type or anything along that lines will work. I'm not saying you can't be successful in the morning, but if I was eager to get out, I'd definitely go for the last evening. And another thing about being excited to get out and getting those opening day jitters out for bow hunting. Personally, I wouldn't go in and hunt your best stand that you hunt during the rut, because honestly, those bucks probably won't be there right now. They're just starting their switch from their summer range to their fall range. So they're going to stick close to where they've been all summer, and then they're going to start switching over to where you would expect them to be when you've seen that buck you've been watching since last year, and he survived, and you might notice he wasn't there during the summer, and he might be just starting to come into the picture, after their velvet's off. But I I highly recommend not to go in and hunt super hard in your best hunting stand for the rut or mid October, just for the sense you don't want to burn out your stands. Personally, we hunt more of the outskirts of that area, so we're not putting all the pressure on there, and we only hunt like every 2 weeks, if that. So sometimes I know we're going September 19th, and then we'll be going October 15th. So it's almost a month in between that whole thing. So it if you pressure the deer too much by the rut, your stand's going to be burned up, and you're going to be wondering why you're not seeing deer. And that's mainly it, is because the deer started to pattern you, and they do. They pattern you, and I believe in it. So I'd say hunt your second choice stands, the ones that are closer to food sources or water sources, or that is on an acorn flat. Anything in that range would probably be your best bet, instead of going to your thick cover and hoping and thinking that that big mature buck is going to be walking through, when in reality he hasn't quite switched over to where you were seeing him during the rut last year. Next, we're going to talk about the right food source to hunt over and stay in location. Personally, early season, unless you're certain they're still going there, I wouldn't really hunt a soybean field, a hay field, even an alfalfa field, really, because they start drying up, they start turning yellow, especially soybeans. The bucks and does love them all summer long, but like even right now I've noticed it, and we're just August 29th, I think it is. They're starting to turn yellow, and there's some fields that the leaves are dropping off of, and when that happens, the deer's palate doesn't really prefer them. I mean, if you got a standing bean field in winter, go there. That's a pretty good that's a pretty good chance you're gonna get a buck in there, or a doe, whatever you want to take. But when it's early season bow, I wouldn't put my money on sitting a bean field, just for the sense that they don't really like it when the green's gone. A hayfield, I mean, I'd probably steer away from those, just because most hayfields are cut by middle of September, and the deer don't prefer it then. If you have a food plot, or you plan a food plot, I'd go there more, just because that is a green field. It's more to the liking of deer for their palate, and for us, we've had better success with that than sitting over a bean field. We've tried everything, and obviously cornfield, you can't really shoot them. So, and you don't see half them. You don't see half them when you're in the stand, anyways, because they're sneaking through the corn. So, and stand placement, really, early season, find those funnels, those travel corridors between bedding and food, or bedding and water. If you get anywhere near water and you got a good trail going through, or I mean, this is the perfect setup right here. If you got water on one end and food source on the other, and you're in between their bedding in those two areas, if you can find any sort of funnel from that, you have a good chance of seeing a buck. Not a big buck. I'm not guaranteeing you're going to see a big buck, but I'm just saying you're going to see a buck, and you'll probably see good deer activity. Water sources is a great spot to sit for that early season, because most states it's still pretty hot. Wisconsin, it'll be 70s. Deer are still going to want to be close to that water to be able to rehydrate and cool down, really. I mean, also, one of our stands we just moved it. It's in a pine tree. We have bedding, our food plot, and right down through there, it's kind of like a funnel between a couple shelves, we call them, or benches, and the other side there's like a hog's back or a knoll, and it kind of they funnel through their bedding area between those two and out to the food plot, or to the other bedding that's around there that leads to the egg field on the other side of it. So hopefully that puts in a little perspective. Trail cams. trail cams can really help you in early season bow hunting. Couple tips I'd say, honestly. You might have a camera in the middle of your property and you're getting all these big buck pictures at night, right? And that's awesome because we have a camera that does that. But if I were you, on your outskirts of your property, especially near some bedding areas that you know of at least, put a trail cam near there on a trail that's coming from those areas so you can start patterning the deer better or your bucks better. Because if you just have that camera in the middle, it takes them that entire time to get to that location by maybe just after dark. So when that happens, he is coming from somewhere. So if you have your cameras up near locations like that or water sources, or just think of it like four corners or five on a dice. In the middle is your main camera that you've been getting all these big buck pictures on, and if you put four cameras, I don't know, like that maybe. So you got your camera in the middle, which is my nose, I guess, for this analogy here. And you put four cameras around that area, probably, I don't know, I'd say a good 50 to 100 yards, more, probably 100 yards away from that center dot camera. And it'll give you that better understanding of where these bucks are coming from. And you might be able to set up right there and catch him when he's going through to that camera before dark. And we found out that this is a really helpful tactic, and it might just benefit you guys. You guys might be able to get a great shot on a buck in daylight. I mean, that's the hardest part in early season, is getting a buck in daylight. And if you just do that and pattern them from that point to your main camera where you've been getting them this whole time, right, right at that bubble where you don't know if you should shoot or not. They're traveling from somewhere at that point. They just take a while to get there because that's just what deer do, honestly. I mean, they make it difficult on you. Every hunter knows deer hunting is a chess match, pretty much. A lot of preparation goes into it. And this camera tactic, we found out it's very helpful, and we hope you guys try it because it's a game changer. You wouldn't realize how you kind of thought, well, why didn't I think of that? Because it makes sense. If you can figure out where they're coming from to that camera point before dark, that's your biggest key. Also on that, and with the food plots and those egg fields and whatnot, the other thing with egg fields, deer, depending on the pressure that is around there between your neighbors and just what they see every year, they probably won't go in that egg field until right at dark. I mean, you might get does, but bigger bucks won't until probably late October, when their testosterone's flying and through the roof, and the good sweet rut activities going on. But in the beginning, I'd stick more in the woods, in those transition areas, like I was saying, funnels and whatnot. Also, dress light, or wait to dress when you get to the stand, or close to the stand to where you can without spooking anything. What we do, we haven't really hunted early season this for a while now. I think it's been 3 years, because we just wait till October, and we've had great success with that. But September 19th, I'm taking my soon-to-be wife out, and we are going to try early season for her very first bow kill. So, biggest thing is, what we do, I have thin mossy oak, pretty much they're my turkey hunting pants. So, they're pretty thin, lightweight. And then for top, I'll either wear my t-shirt or just a very thin base layer, long sleeve, walk to my stand, and then I'll put my outer layer on, which is just a sweatshirt really. And then I'll spray down one more time, or phase 3. We're going to try that this year, so we're definitely going to do that when we get to the stand. Before, we would just spray down real quick, depending on the wind, if there's enough wind to kind of cover up the sound. Or we'd spray down right before we would get close, entering the woods where we were going to be hunting. You got to think, most stands, at least for us, we got to walk probably 200, 300 yards to our stands. And by at that point, early season, you're going to get hot. You're going to get sweaty, and then the deer are going to bust you, more than likely, depending on how you're playing the wind. But biggest thing is dress light, be comfortable getting to your stand. When you get to your stand, then dress, because by then you're just going to be sitting, so you're not going to be sweating more, and it'll definitely help with scent control. Another thing, don't be afraid to grunt. Grunting is a good tactic throughout the entire year. Early season, just a couple contact grunts might just do it. Even blind calling, honestly, because if you're close to a bedding area and it's getting to that last hour, and you do a couple contact grunts, or just letting a buck know there's another buck here, because at this point they're sorting out their territory. So it definitely would not be a bad idea to do a couple contact grunts here and there. I mean, not over aggressive, just a couple, letting the bucks in the area know, hey, especially if you got one dominant buck you've been watching, and he, almost any 5-year-old will definitely come and check that out, especially younger bucks more than the older ones. But those older ones, especially earlier in the season before the rut, they'll kind of check it out. They won't be aggressive and they won't come in real fast. They'll walk the outskirts, go downwind, and check stuff out. But we've had it happen, and it's worked for us, where we've grunted a couple times, just a couple contacts, and here's a buck we've been watching, and he comes scooting on through downwind of us and some thicker cover. So it is a great tactic. Don't be afraid to do it. Most people are like, I wouldn't grunt or anything, or even, I don't want to say rattle, but that mid-October, I definitely, start tickling the antlers together a little bit and whatnot. But early season, if you know you have a buck that is a bully, and you've been watching him for a couple of years now, and he just has that attitude, especially early in the season, that he's pushing all these bucks around. If you do just a light tickle, that could bring that buck in. This guy here, he was a bully buck. It was Halloween day. It was about noon. I had about 3 hours to hunt. I asked the lady before I left the house, I was like, hey, I have this gut feeling I need to be in the woods. It's October, Halloween day. There's just something about it. It was windy, but I knew I had to be in the stand, our double stand. It's on a little bench between two bedding areas and a food source behind it. And got there, 15 minutes in the stand. I rattled because I was like, what do I got to lose? And this guy came in on a dime, right 10 yards to the stand. I barely could even pull back because the adrenaline was just so hard, and it was cold. And finally I got pulled back, smoked him with the rage, went only 40 yards and toppled over. So rattling is a very, very good tactic, especially in the rut. But early season, you'd be surprised. And with that, one last thing here, buck shaming or deer shaming. I've seen a lot of it on social media lately. What Oak Tree Dreams is founded on, we shoot whatever we think is a trophy and what will make us happy. Because no matter what anybody says, we can only just decide what is going to make us happy during bow season or gun season or any season for that matter. And every buck to us, especially me, is a trophy. It's just a privilege to be able to hunt these creations, and I can't get enough of it. Everybody who has this addiction knows what I mean. It's even when a fork comes walking by, I am tickled pink and already have buck fever. Yes, I'm probably not going to shoot them, but that's where your preference comes in. Everybody's different. They're the ones that bought the tag, and hey, if a 6-year-old man who has giant bucks on his property decided to shoot a smaller one, congratulate him. Don't put him down and say this buck should have had more time, or you should have let him go because you have all these other bucks, or even kids. Hunting is a dying sport. I've watched it. It is dying, and these people bashing kids for shooting a small spike or shooting a yearling. I get it. It's not the greatest, but you know what? That is their tag, and it made them happy, and that is all that matters in hunting, is the memories that you make hunting. Don't get me wrong. Everybody wants to shoot a 170 inch or 200 class whitetail, but in reality is, no matter how many years you hunt, you might only get one chance at one that's over 170. Some people are very fortunate, but others, I'm happy with anything from breaking the 100 mark to 130. I guess this guy was 133. To me it's whatever's gonna make me happy, and in my eyes, it doesn't matter what anybody else says about the bucks or doe that you shot. As long as it made you happy, that is all that matters. And just remember that a lot of people will bash you. I mean, and that's the sad part. People shouldn't be bashing other hunters for being successful in the woods, because on alone, bow hunting is challenging. And those people that are bashing you probably do shoot smaller bucks. They just try to make themselves feel better. Honestly, I just never understood why you would put somebody down for shooting an 8-point buck that's, a basket rack or something. They still shot one and you didn't. Half the time that's the issue too. So what I'm saying is, just be kind. Hunting is about the traditions, the memories, and just the fact of being out there and being able to hunt these amazing animals. So hopefully we can start seeing a trend of no buck shaming. I don't know. But like I said, I guess we're gonna close out there. If you guys have any questions or want to know any other tactics, comment down below, and we will gladly answer them the best we can, or from our experiences. Don't forget to subscribe and like and hit that little bell icon. You'll get notified when we put out new videos. I'll be doing some of these tactics more in depth, hopefully every week, with work permitting. And yeah, and with that, we'll see you guys next time on Oak Tree Dreams. Have a great week.